So the last step of the trip was Huntington Beach. How appropriate, actually. We flew down to Huntington and we filmed for 3 days at Huntington Beach Central Park Disc Golf Course, which, not so coincidentally, happens to be the birthplace of the GOAT himself, Paul Mcbeth's home course. And I actually met a guy on the course pretty early on. I think his name was Iggy. And Iggy kind of mentored Paul when he was a little kid just getting started. I think Paul started actually throwing golf discs on that course when he was 8 years old. And I think he's 32 or 33 now, so we're talking a quarter century ago. That's where Paul Mcbeth got his start, and it felt like kind of the perfect place to conclude the method shoot. We shot for 3 days. We shot on the longest hole in the course, which I believe is hole 16 actually. And it's basically, when it's in the long position, it's dead straight with a tree right about 400 feet away, an enormous tree that is so gigantic that it actually looks like it's pretty close to you until you walk down the hill towards it, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger in your field of view until you're standing underneath it. And when you're at the base of the tree, you're about 40 feet away from the basket. So the basket is about 440 feet away behind the tree. And it made a really, really good place to test people's various capabilities because you had lots of nice targets. There was a tee about maybe 200 feet away, which is, I guess, the short tee. Then there was the shade of the tree. Then there was the tree itself. And then finally there was the basket. So there were all of these really good incremental targets to aim for. And I spent 3 days there teaching people as they came through. I did a bunch of impromptu lessons, all of them extremely successful in one way or another. The most successful of all of those people was, let's see, there was a kid named Reed who is, I think, 15 years old, and he's an up-and-coming, aspiring professional, honestly, already in the high 900s in terms of his rating. As soon as I saw Reed throw, I could see why Reed was so good. God, his nose control was beyond belief. And Reed had been playing since he was a kid, but he was missing something in his form that I was able to see right away. The pesky back foot. When Reed was striding down the tee pad, it was turning out in his stride. Everything looked so good, but he had losing all of this energy in the back leg. So I recalibrated Reed, and I had him focus, following the rules that the heels are lava, so that he stays high and bouncy on his feet. I had him keep this leg in to stride forward off of it. As soon as it clicked, he started obliterating the disc. He threw way farther than he's ever thrown before. And the people were in awe. Totally transformed in like a roughly 30-minute lesson using Method 2.0 stuff, using the adding momentum system. It reminded me of one of our hosts from North Carolina, a guy named Cody, who was another high 900s rated pro player who competed in and around North Carolina. And Cody could throw beautiful standstills, throwing standstills probably low to mid 60s, but he could not add any momentum to that mechanism. Going faster did not make him throw any harder. As soon as Cody and I started working together earlier in the year, he instantly figured it out. He figured it out from my X-step drill. The idea of falling to the right and catching your weight to the right allowed him to suddenly stride in bounds. And once he could do that and he could wind up his body properly, raising the arm up, hitting the disc so beautifully here, he started bombing. Cody can throw, I think, on a solid tee pad 70 miles an hour, maybe even faster. He said he's thrown a tech disc 74 or 75 miles an hour. That might have been a little bit faster, I think, than his biomechanics could produce, but the guy can definitely throw 70 without any question. Another person I was reminded of was my student, Regan, who, when the Docu-series come out, you will learn about. Regan came from a background as a college-level basketball player. So an incredible athlete, but with one deficit. There was nothing endemic to basketball that taught Regan the feeling of bracing his body against the ground with his right leg and initiating from the non-dominant side. So when Regan and I started working together, he could only throw like 200 feet, even though he was an insane athlete, crumpling and falling over the brace and stuff. The recalibration was so quick from one lesson that Regan threw 447 feet 1 week later. And when we filmed him in North Carolina, despite the fact that the tee pad was at a horrible angle, it was on the side of a hill and all squishy, and everything was wet from humidity, Regan still threw 66 miles an hour and is capable now, based on video evidence, of throwing 520 feet. And he's a complete beginner. Regan began to play disc golf less than 4 months ago. He's a complete beginner who can throw 520 feet because Lee and I worked with him and we just coached him first on stability, then on the brace, and then right away began to add momentum. We figured out all the upper body stuff, and I think Regan will be able to consistently throw in the low to mid 500 range when he throws the disc hard going forward. Anyway, Reed had a similar transformation in Huntington Beach, and everybody else I worked with had their own breakthroughs in one way or another. They felt biomechanical leverage. They saw the disc spin and glide and buzz through the air with almost no effort. Many of them threw much farther than they've ever thrown in their entire disc golf lives, some of them spanning back to the 1990s. In a very, very short, roughly 30-minute lesson, they could throw the disc with beautiful spin and direction, just like the people in the initial method case studies. This system is the real deal. And as I've said before, it is a completely free-to-play system I'm giving away to the entire community. So we wrapped up the shoot for the most part. We did some studio filming back in Seattle at the end, where I did something that other people have been requesting, which is I did demonstrations of 6 different exercises that you can do in the gym that are very specific to the disc golf backhand, primarily based around producing extra force in the incredibly important engine of the backhand, which is the plant quad, and then stuff having to deal with powerful rotational intention under leverage with the upper body. Those pieces will be stitched together into the final docu-series, which is going to contain about, if I had to estimate, initially 14 parts, and then it'll probably have some bonus features as well. My editors are hard at work already. The great Mark Ostrick, who is known for his other side gig, which is making Shark Week for Discovery Channel since 2016, roughly. So if you see the method videos and you're impressed by the production, it's because it's made by masters. That docuseries is amazing, and these guys were filming chapter 2. It's gonna be incredible. I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to travel the country, to meet people in person, to coach them, and watch their faces light up with joy as they felt their bodies do things that were incomprehensible to them. They saw things that they could have never dreamed of just happening in their own biomechanics. Watching the joy and invigoration of that is so satisfying. It's one of the primary reasons why I do this. This is about emboldening and enabling people and teaching them how to be truly exceptional and great. There is no better lens, honestly, than throwing the disc golf backhand, and that's part of what the Method Project is about. Thank you guys so much for watching my videos. I am back now. I will be recording content as quickly and frequently as I can, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching.